Mm. Th- There's a lot more to it. No. Interesting. Uh oh. Oh. That's interesting. Hmm. Looks like a priest. The goddamn priest, some Buddhist monk. Well, anyway. Well, that's intriguing. I'm getting down. Dude. Bo cat. Oh, thank God, Abe. No. Dude, what's a better emulator? I don't know. Jesus Christ. Um. Hmm. I just wonder if this would be a better emulation program than the previous one. How about change the properties, customize, and change the icon? Okay. Apply. Okay. Oh. Wow. Wow, we got a new additional setup. Oh, but I don't have it. Oh. Oh, yeah. Yep. Anyway. Goofball. I don't know what it is.
much more sense than anything else from a energy consumption perspective and from a carbon footprint perspective. To be convinced from a technical perspective that this is the right answer, to realize that all the companies that ought to be my competitors aren't, it seemed like an opportunity.
Martin told me he realized that electric cars had failed over and over again for one common reason.
What I saw was universally these cars were designed to be a low-end car that would come in at the low end of the market, and everybody could buy one, which is a noble thought, but it doesn't work. I mean, new technologies when they come along are always luxury items. Smartphones and air conditioners and smart watches and everything. The new technologies start out typically as a high-end product and compete on something other than price until you've got enough volume and so on that you can drive down market. So I said, okay, we're not going to do what everybody else did. If I'm not going to compete on price, where is the natural place for an electric car to compete? As an engineer, I know that if you design it right, electric cars can have crazy torque, meaning crazy performance. And I said, let's just go the route of starting out with making a car that's a performance car that's the exact opposite of what everybody expects an electric car to be. That thought process opened opportunities that wouldn't have been on the table otherwise. The most important one being lithium-ion batteries. Lithium-ion batteries were more expensive, but they're also way better. And so this is the first commercial car ever to ship with lithium-ion batteries on it.
And while we're on the topic of lithium-ion batteries, I want to show you this battery setup by Linergy. So this right here is one of the most advanced household battery management systems that you can get for your triple or your double A batteries. These batteries have more power, more capacity, and more charge cycles than pretty much anything else you can get out there. This is Linergy's 3-in-1 charging station, battery health detection, and storage unit. Linergy has been able to integrate advanced lithium tech into AA batteries. These AA batteries have a 3,600 milliwatt hour capacity compared to the competition, which only has a 2,400 milliwatt hour capacity, which means that they last for much longer and they stay more powerful throughout your charge cycle. Plus, the rate of
Ignite the fairways. With Fireball. Jiminy Cricket, you don't even have a club in your hand.
They're now going after Billie Eilish? What?
Context. During her tour in Ireland, Billie Eilish said this.
As you guys know, I'm Irish, so it's really cool to come somewhere and like everybody looks exactly like you.
Billie Eilish said what?
I didn't catch that. She likes being in a place where everybody looks like her. But she's from America. The majority of the people here look... Oh!
This is what we mean when we say white people and they biases just be jumping out. Because what type of racist shit is that? When black people explain that they want to be in black spaces, that is a safety issue. When she's saying that, that is a preference. Do you understand the difference?
Irish is a nationality, not a race. Unless you're buying into old school eugenics, that's about being white in a white supremacist world.
What are you talking about? You're happy to see people who look like you. You know why the whites get on my fucking nerves? Again, see, my whites, the whites that I grew up with, they just shut the fuck up. You ain't never seen Britney Spears talk about, I'm so happy to be performing to a crowd of blonde white women. You ain't never heard her say no shit like that.
See, this is the thing, is that these people love talking about how great, their ancestors, etc. But if anybody ever takes pride in their ancestry that's white, somehow this is racist and you're being a Nazi. It's this massive fucking double standard. It's not propaganda to just hate white people. Yeah, that's really what it is. And that's why they would have no problems with the person who is non-white saying this. They would have no issue with it at all. The thing is that these people lose all of their power once you stop giving a shit about them and start laughing at them. That's what you have to do. Because if you give these people any level of credibility, you listen to any of their grievances, it's like a fucking parasite that gets inside of you, and it just infects more and more and more of you before it takes control, and it starts running the ship itself and replacing people like Sydney Sweeney with hogs wearing bikinis that nobody wants to see, except for other people that look like that. And even they don't want to see it. That's why they use filters on themselves whenever they go on dating apps.
Hmm. Dude. That's some interesting stuff. Oh, that's kind of fucked up. That's genuinely really fucked up. Is this showing? That's the one I'm looking for. What the fuck? How do I capture that now? Why is it not changing out? Okay, why is it a black screen? And so all I get is a black screen on my end. Okay. How do we fix that? The video capture device? Game capture? Hell, I can't get the damn window capture to work. Nope. How the fuck do I get it to... Dude, how? Window capture? Okay. The fuck? Oh, there's that. I don't want to display capture. Fuck. What the hell? The hell is going on there? Makes me wonder what the develop do. I don't have the audio capture. I can hear it, but you guys can't hear it. Okay. What?
That really sucked, and there's good news there. And also, one developer has basically had all that he can take of Steam user-generated tags, basically selling his game to the wrong audience, and he's trying to fight back. It's a really weird story, a case where a dev's made a real cool game, but has absolutely found himself in quite the pickle. And we would be in quite the pickle without the help of today's sponsor. Our mates over at Boot.dev, whose mission it is to teach you back-end web development. They use Python and Go, and they do it in the smart way by actually making it fun. It's because they're an online self-paced platform that's 100% designed to get you writing code, and not just any code. They are also gamers, so it's a lot of problems that are
gamer
inspired by
code,
the sorts of things that we'll understand, like even a basic RPG combat system.
They know how to make gamer
levels,
code,
XP achievements on the site, all that good stuff, and you can get 25% off
Ooh,
your first purchase with my link and
Sounds
code,
like a
which
fun
is
one.
Bellular News. Now, they have an incredible and very complete learning path. I mean, just take a look. And to give you an example of their approach, one of their modules is developing and deploying a
I don't want to
Pokédex.
learn it, but I
Another
can't.
is learning
I'm just
object-oriented
not.
programming by working through RPG combat examples. So it's the sort of approach that actually leverages things you'll naturally understand from playing video games to help those concepts click. And what I love is actually Boots, their AI chatbot. It shocked me because rather than just giving you like an answer to your problem, it actually works you through how to unblock yourself and solve the problem yourself. It's honestly one of the only times that I've seen a chatbot like that. And
here's
like
the command.
I was surprised. So
here's what you
if you go
got.
to boot.dev/Bellular News and use code Bellular News, you'll get 25% off your first purchase, and that's backed by their no questions asked 30-day money-back guarantee. And to sample their content and see all the free demos, again, you can just click my link. So thanks, Boot, and let's roll. Okay, the banning of Steam. Of course, as we've been reminded pretty frequently over the last few weeks with the whole PlayStation Network mess, Steam is very much a global platform.
Why did they get banned in
Recently,
Vietnam?
It's just got a little bit less global, and that's because the whole thing is gone in Vietnam. Now, this has been sourced all the way back to Vietnam Net, which suggests that this may have came because of complaints from local publishers and developers, right? So they've basically got their government to ban Steam. It's kind of crazy. So here's a quote for you. Steam is blatantly distributing games at Vietnam, including violent games and adult games without asking for permission. This is unfair for domestic distributors.
Oh man. Oh no. asking for permission. Steam is blatantly distributing Vietnam games in Vietnam, including violent video games, gooner games, without asking for permission. Okay. That's tightening control over what's really going on here.
Management agencies need to tighten control over the cross-border platform, or domestic game distributors will die in the home market. So this is actually where it gets fascinating for us.
Die at the home market.
Because it's not really a problem we deal with in most of our countries, but for them it kind of is different. For example, and kind of similar to what goes on with the Chinese.
What, censorship?
Version of Steam, loads of games released in Vietnam are required to edit out the blood.
Oh, censorship! There you go. There it is. How about we just have fucking video footage of Vietnam? Didn't Vietnam have, like, war? What is it? Pearl Harbor? Come on, Vietnam. Was there not a war? Was it the Pearl Harbor? I don't know. Which war was it that Vietnam was in? 1960 to 1970. Which era was it? Is it the 60s or the 70s? Pearl Harbor. It is Pearl Harbor. Attack on Pearl Harbor. 1941. Emperor of Japan and the United States. That didn't warn them. Pearl Harbor. I don't know. So this is just what it boils down to.
And violence.
Oh, we can't have violence in Gooner product. We can't have violence. We can't have
violence. Can only go so far. Unlike with China, Steam have not built their own version of the platform to be compliant in that region. So even though Steam can sell games in Vietnamese dong, they actually don't have to play by the rules of the country. And then that immediately puts distributors in the region at a disadvantage, because if you're a Vietnamese game distributor, well, tough luck, right? You've got to comply with the government. But if the mighty network of Gabe Newell is all across the world and supports your currency, then why is anyone going to go and get the version of a game from you, the local Vietnamese distributor, right? So it's not really a surprise that the regulator has got loads of complaints, and this is actually similar to how they also got Netflix challenged for offering their games with no modification for that market as well. So one way of looking at this story, and it would be really easy to do this, is to say that Valve were out there challenging regional censorship, and that for Vietnamese gamers, this was awesome because they were able to get their video games without any, compromising things being done to sell in the region. And that is actually the reality on the ground, and it was awesome for them. But of course, the fact is that Steam do modify their platform all the time in other regions. The most obvious is Steam China existing, but Steam actually do still geo-block certain purchases for users in Germany based on content. Icons such as a certain Hindu symbol, I believe.
Yeah.
Pretty obvious reasons why. But what's interesting is the German law about National Socialist iconography, that was lifted in the country in 2018. So even though that was lifted in Germany, actually some of that stuff is still being applied by Steam. And of course, if you buy a game in Russia,
wow.
Then of course it...
Government censorship, I swear to God. That's all it is.
Getting geo-locked to stop cheap key grifting. Where games just end up on key reselling websites. And then of course, depending on the region you're in, you actually can't use your local currency to pay directly on Steam. Instead, you end up using Steam's own currency conversion into, examples like MENA USD or LATAM USD, right? So a funny little thing that most people don't know. This ends up basically falling into the opposite problem that Sony have got with PlayStation Network. Steam is available in every country to the benefit of customers there and the benefit of Valve. This global revenue is awesome for everybody involved, but of course there are the requirements of all of those global countries. And if you're global first and you're only not global if a regional problem crops up, then, for Valve.
Oh yeah, I now remember. Fucking PlayStation shot themselves in the foot. Oh yeah, that's right. PlayStation shot themselves in the foot with Helldivers. Region locking their online content.
That ends up in a situation like this. And if your bottom line is going to be threatened, as it was with some of the stuff in China, then you will end up having an incentive to do something like deploy Steam China. So realistically, this is far less a case of Steam doing a righteous anti-censorship thing. It's not really that. It's rather that they just don't see enough money in Vietnam to bother doing anything about it. Now, speaking of following the rules, it actually turns out that Valve may be facing some more scrutiny. Now, this was an interesting one. It is the Polish government taking on Steam and Sony.
Why?
And being real with you, Poland, right? It's a country in the EU. And the EU has been able to swing its whatever about, throw its weight around, let's just say, on anti-competitive matters, right? That's one of the reasons why iPhones went to USB-C. A lot of EU pressure. Of course, you've got the Digital Markets Act.
Thank you, EU,
being in the UK, I cannot use an alternate app. An alternate app store on my iPhone. If I just go across the border into the Republic of Ireland, which, technically is obviously in the EU, whereas Northern Ireland is in the UK, therefore is not in the EU, then I can, then I could use an alternative app store. So a bit of a funny little situation. Point is, though, this is happening with Poland. Poland is in the EU, and I wonder if this is the sort of thing that could end up spiraling, right, that maybe some other countries in the EU may also make a bit of an issue out of this. So if you're in Valve's legal department, this is certainly something that will be across your desk that you'll be thinking about. So this was spotted by Maru NL and Game World Observer. Basically, the Polish Office for Competition and Consumer Protection are starting a preliminary investigation into companies operating in the region for anti-competitive practices, right? So that's what they've said. And this isn't the first we've heard of this story. This is more a...
Interesting. So it's like censorship.
Major new update.
Just gotta remember, hey. I just gotta remember, don't be going on Instagram. Don't be going on Instagram now.
Because they had already done a review of several developers and publishers. Like, they even went to the PlayStation regional office in Poland. So now what they're doing is they're analyzing the evidence. And what they're saying they're looking for is this, right? Evidence of dominant players using their position to enforce anti-competitive rules.
I'm not even signing into an email. They got goon weekend.
Applying restrictions on the sale of games and ancillary content on competing platforms or online stores, interfering with pricing and discount policies of game developers and publishers, or restricting market access to competing platforms and other digital service providers. And you may see that and think, why is a company saying, hey, you can't sell your product in that other store? Well, I mean, think about some of the big deals that happen in regular brick and mortar retailers. Like, you actually do have a lot of these big companies with a lot of power playing genuine goddamn hardball with each other. Now, in the case of Valve and Steam, well, they actually do have a bunch of restrictions on what you can do on other stores. So a lot of the time somebody may say, hey, developer, can I not just like buy a DRM-free version of your game on your own website and more of the money will go to you? Well, in many cases for the developer, it's actually better for them to lose the cut to Valve, because a sale happening on Steam is probably going to be useful to the Steam algorithm. So it's actually better for like a developer's bottom line that Gabe & Co. get their fee, because that will just mean more spread in Steam. Anyway, so this is something that Valve have actually been facing in the USA as well. And this is the fact that they mandate that prices on Steam can't be undercut on other stores. And then the other thing, which is the restriction in the sale of games, PlayStation are actually facing a consumer rights tribunal that is relating to basically how they remove the ability to purchase digital games on third-party platforms. So in both cases here, these are things that have been given enough consideration by the legal system, right, involved in those countries, for it to move from that primary stage to the secondary stage of basically what could end up being a trial, right? So this is actually pretty serious stuff.
Are they trying to get, I think they're trying to fight back. I would say we're all just trying to fight. It's definitely a fight. And there's people fighting to get back the ability to own an actual game. Alright, where the fuck we at? Alright. Okay, cool. I do believe there is some pushback.
And again, this is happening.
I do believe there is definitely some pushback with the rights to owning these ownership. Ownership of media is now becoming quite prevalent right now lately. We're living in a world nowadays, anything that you have. I look at Netflix, Hulu. You get a Netflix account, you get a Hulu account, you get a Paramount account, doesn't matter what account it is. In these live streaming, these streaming media services, you do not own any of that stuff. You do not own a physical copy of these shows. It's all just rentalship. you're renting. You're just basically paying a rental fee. You're paying a monthly rental fee just to have access to movies, TV shows. And lately too, it's you're renting. They're really pushing a lot more for renting. You do not like the I think it's like PS5 and hell, I don't even know like for sure, but I think Nintendo's really pushing for this idea of you don't own the game. Oh, you didn't buy the game. There is no cartridge anymore. Oh, there used to be a cartridge in the game. Well, I want to go back to the days where you had cartridges. Nintendo, what the fuck? I know their cartridges are small as fuck nowadays. But hell, I wonder if you can fit an entire Nintendo game on a cartridge anyway. I feel like you bought a Switch, if you bought a Switch game, you probably only have a fraction of the game. You probably have a fraction of the game that's already on there. It's more like a fucking placeholder. Then you gotta go for the process of downloading through the Nintendo Network, and don't get me started on Nintendo Network shit. I hate Nintendo Network. I hate buying shit on the Nintendo Network. I fucking hate it. I will not buy shit on the Nintendo Network. Personally, I think I might just have to go and just buy all the Nintendo cards instead. I just get annoyed by that. It's like, oh, you gotta sign in 3 different fucking times. This is one of the biggest hassles that I had with the Nintendo fucking buying. So fucking dumb. Had to use my password 3 different fucking times. What kind of a system is that? What kind of a fucking system is that anyway? Oh, you gotta use the password 3 different fucking times. And my Switch, I'm the only person using that Switch. Ain't nobody else using that Switch but me. And you have the audacity, oh, you gotta sign in again. Oh, sign in again. Enter your password again. Say, Jesus fucking Christ. That would kind of make sense if it was like a fucking using it. Yes, my kid's using this one. So the kids can't just purchase. So you can't just purchase, so the kids can't just, buy something. What I think it does is, I think I know what Nintendo's trying to do, but I think Nintendo also needs to have some fucking degree of separation. It's like, you're a grown-ass adult. I'm a grown-ass man on that account. But to act like I have little fucking toddler kids back there trying to buy these shits, man. Fucking not 10. I'm not fucking 10 years old not anymore. That was like a long time ago. I don't even know. That's crazy. I'm going off a tantrum anyway. I'm going off the rails, but this is interesting stuff.
In Poland, Poland is an EU country. Look at what's going on with the Digital Markets Act. And of course, there are different...
EU has a totally different take to America. The EU definitely has a different viewpoint when it comes to buying stuff.
This is like obviously between the Apple App Store and Steam, right? Like they are completely different platforms. But still, this is the type of...
Very different platforms. The Apple App Store and the Steam Store. When it comes to the Apple App Store, they have so many... Apple has so many rules and regulations when it comes to having an app on their store. They have very, very tight restrictions. Very, very tight. Like, stupid height restrictions.
The thing the EU are taking...
When it comes to... this, when it comes to... what apps are allowed, what apps aren't allowed. I do like the fact that, hey, you got apps. I'm glad that Apple does not allow their end user, doesn't allow apps and that has malicious code in it. That's one of the biggest problems that Google has. Google has a major flaw. I must admit to that. I do like the variety of apps that Google does have out there, but there are apps out there that are not in good fate. They got apps out there that will fuck your system up. There's no rule. The rules and regulations on the Play Store are very slim. It's kind of the Wild West, honestly.
Real seriously, and
it's a good thing and a bad thing.
I mean, you could totally see, you could see a reality where the EU could end up saying, no, you can't control that, actually. A developer can sell a game for whatever price on their own website. You can't do anything, Steam. Tough luck. If you want to operate in the EU and not be fined to shit. So that's the kind of thing that, obviously, for us as consumers, would be positive. For Valve, though, obviously, this is something that they're probably going to want to take very seriously in the legal front. Now, this could be specifically relevant in Poland because of GOG, formerly known as Good Old Games. Of course, they're owned by CD Projekt, and if a developer lists their game on GOG cheaper than Steam, then they lose the ability to have their game on the bigger platform. So imagine CD Projekt Red doing a game like, let's just say The Witcher 4.
Huh.
If that was, say, 10% cheaper on GOG because they own it, then they would not be able to sell on Steam whatsoever. Right? Valve would boot them off. And of course, you
Interesting.
could say that would be silly for Valve to do. Think of all the money that Valve would make from selling that game on Steam, even if people could get a better deal elsewhere. Yes, but the second Valve does that once, well, the whole foundation would just kind of crumble. Other devs would be like, hey, why can we not do what they're doing? So again, this is all just putting pressure on Valve from a policy perspective, and that could impact all of us because we buy games on Steam. All of this basically suggests then that the whole global digital market, the decline of physical games, that it's just making all of this stuff be more important. And of course, by default, the incumbents like Valve and Sony, they do kind of benefit as things go more and more digital. It's interesting stuff. We don't know how this is going to pan out, but this actually wouldn't be the first time that Valve have had trouble in the EU this decade, because they actually broke EU antitrust law
Ooh, really?
Relating to geo-blocking agreements with loads of
Geo-blocking.
publishers in 2021, so that kind of got cracked by the EU. And then if Poland decides in this case that it's in line with those EU regulations, then this could really, really impact things. Now, of course, this would be bad for Valve, but what it would mean is more options, more competition, and of course competition is ultimately good for consumers. It's one of those things. I think of, I mean, is Valve like literally a monopoly? No. You can buy and sell games in other places. Is it true that Valve has a humongous amount of power? Like, yeah, absolutely, it is true.
For sure.
Now, I think of all of the stores, right, they do seem to be the most benevolent. Like, given their size. They are fairly pro-consumer. They do give game developers a lot of really good tools. And they've actually built a platform with such good discoverability features that they are more than just a storefront. That's where it gets interesting to me with Valve. They're basically in a game discovery and matchmaking business. Because how many people go to the Epic Games Store, see something, think, oh, that's new, I'll buy it. They don't, because the Epic Games Store doesn't really do those things that Steam does. So that's where it gets...
Seems like... Hey. Yeah, I can go look and just browse in Steam, like, oh, I might want to download that game. There are times, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie, there are times I'd be playing a game and it's like, hey, I want to try something different. Like, Steam's kind of built like a...
That's interesting to me. I do see Steam obviously as a storefront, but I also see it as a recommendation engine. And so as a developer or a publisher, you do get pros and you do get cons from Steam, but that recommendation engine, my God, it is strong. The next thing then is our friends at Warner Bros., who have finally made a good decision. So I don't know, maybe that feels weird to them. Now, of course, this is not about the Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League game. No, this is where Warner Bros. Were just very cruelly and needlessly delisting games that had came from the Adult Swim label, and that just meant that a lot of small titles, a lot of pretty cool, just cool niche things, which is really the whole Adult Swim like gist, a lot of those just risked being deleted from the internet, which would have sucked. And it was all because WB would rather delete the Steam pages than do the very simple process on the Steam backend to transfer them, right? Like, literally, it would take minutes for each game. So what happened is Warner Bros. Reached out to at least two of the devs involved. This is with Small Radios, Big Televisions, and Duck Game, both being titles that have been spared the axe. And they will actually be reverting all rights and the store pages back to the developers. So this is really good. And this is, again, a great example of comradeship, activism stuff actually working. The devs of these games said, hey, this is shit. Then a lot of people who care about fair play, a lot of people who just think, oh, come on, WB, it would take you so little effort to do the right thing. People who are interested in game preservation, people actually banded together, and look at this. The big...
There is definitely a rise of game. This is definitely a push. There's definitely a big time push lately with game preservation. With the push of digitizing games and movies as rentals.
Faceless Corporation has actually done the right thing because of public pressure. That is one of those times where we have got an objective win because people said, hey, big corporation, no, we don't like that. That being said, it's not a total victory. People reached out to Polygon and they essentially reported that not everybody has got this reprieve.
Good on 'em.
Some more developers have explicitly said that Warner Bros. Are explicitly being moved by the public outcry against
Good
the decisions.
stuff.
To be honest, I've got to imagine that is just large corporations are stupid because there are so many layers of approval, right? It's a scale issue. So hopefully the outstanding devs actually do, have the right thing happen, because
They're so high up their ivory
Come on,
tower,
man.
they don't know the fuck's going on.
if some corporate bullshit just means that games no longer exist, that sucks for the medium. The next thing then, Bulwark and expectation. 'Cause here's the problem,
Bulwark?
right? Expectations really frame everything. I mean, a random game may look like a role-playing game, but if it's more of an ARPG, or, is it a CRPG? Is it something a lot more esoteric? I mean, recently, lots of people, they picked up No Rest for the Wicked because they were interested, of course, in another action role-playing game, and they remember the Ori games being absolutely beautiful. Now, for me, I hopped into that game and immediately loved the Souls-like inspirations. For other people, that will have felt like gravy sludge compared to what they're used to. So it's just one of those things where
Interesting art style.
expectations really do matter. Steam kind of mitigates that by doing user tags. And user tags are generally speaking pretty damn great, because you just get to see, vaguely what are the vibes in this game. And it does mean that if enough people just declare that a game is in a specific genre, like Steam will just show that to fans of that genre. But then the thing is, what if people are not necessarily right? What if there is a bit of a disagreement between the players and the dev, or some players and a dev? What if a tag that people keep on assigning to a game is actually not the genre that the developer intended? And what if that tag actively overrides the tags that the developer themselves has set, so that people understand what the developer's game is? That's where it gets interesting, and that is where the guy, Tomas, behind Bulwark, Falconeer Chronicles, has basically done something. So this is what Tomas posted, right?
Folks, you made me do it. The full title is now for Bulwark. Bulwark is now Bulwark. Falconeer Chronicles, a bloody creative sandbox. Not a fucking build some cool shit. Expect no endgame, cause a sand there. I hope that clarifies it. Good. Nice.
He said, folks, you made me do it. The full title of Bulwark is now Bulwark Falconeer Chronicles, a bloody creative sandbox, not a fucking strategy game. Build some cool shit, expect no endgame, cause it's a sandbox. That's his post. He ended by saying, there, ... I hope that finally clarifies it. Funny little situation. Obviously, that's not what it's called on Steam. On Steam, it is called Bulwark Falconeer Chronicles, a creative building sandbox. It almost reminds me of how some books are listed on Amazon. You know, if you're like looking at a book and it'll be like the title of the book, A, and then basically marketing copy, or, now adapted to Netflix. It's a bit weird. This is a really interesting game in a little kind of interesting subgenre that's kind of playing around with what you expect from a game. Now, in recent reviews, basically, the dev, Tomas Sala, has encountered people leaving negative reviews because it wasn't a strategy game with a sort of a campaign or like big long-term complexity. So a lot of people, they went in expecting that, and the game did not give them that. And actually, this is something I can speak a little bit personally to. So our game, The Pale Beyond, is it is a narrative game. Yes, resource management. We're going more for taxing sort of EQ in times where a lot of things, how characters will respond, whether you'll lose or gain reputation with somebody, a lot of that is depending on the sort of the character writing, understanding a character's like motives, that sort of social thing. But yeah, it is narrative first. Yes, there are strategic role-playing elements, little bit of, management gameplay, but it is not a game like Frostpunk. Even though both games are...
This kind of looks kind of like a... I don't know.
Wintry.
No, it's not the Darkest Dungeon. No, that's far away from Darkest Dungeon.
Or, are set in a cold place. But one thing we found is a lot of people are not, it's not a humongous amount of people, but it is a few people who purchased the game. You know, they were like, what is this? Why is there a load of text in this game? I thought this was like Frostpunk. And it just turned out people said, well, hey, if you love the vibes of Frostpunk, you'll probably love our game. And that's actually true. I really love our game and I really love Frostpunk. There's a lot of shared vibes, even though they're very different games. But then for some users that meant, oh dear, they've bought a game, they didn't like it. And this is actually a really good case for Steam's entire policy with refunds, because I'd rather that person refunds. If they bought our game thinking it's Frostpunk, it's not Frostpunk. You should have your money back. I don't want it. You only want somebody's money if they're going to, you know, play and enjoy your game. That's
I can get a refund now. That's right. I can get a refund now.
Basically what this dev has ran into here. People are being served.
Can I get a refund from Final Fantasy VII?
Up a game.
OG Final Fantasy VII.
By Steam, and of course its recommendations. They weren't really reading a lot about the game beyond, say, the title and the footage. And then whenever they go and see the full game experience, they end up, of course, leaving some negative reviews. And that does have a knock-on effect in the Steam algorithm. And Tamaz was speaking to PC Gamer, and he basically detailed his whole process of finding out about this. I'll just read the quote. It's really interesting. So, me and the producer at Wired Productions spent a few days trying to figure things out, literally changing all the store text and all that until I finally saw the tags and it all made sense. That is when my inner little devil came out and said, for fuck's sake, let's just change the title. Pretty sure that can't be changed by anyone but me. And so he went and he did that. Now, he did, like, in the interview, understand why people could be disappointed. Like, if Steam serves you up a strategy game in a strategy tag and you play it and it's not that, that's a bad user experience, even though it's not really the developer's fault.
No.
Because it was always made fairly clear with this game that it was more of a creative, sort of a creative sandbox. But just real interesting. Obviously, I do think that Steam's recommendation engine is one of the absolute just best, points of value on the platform. I think it is awesome. This is just an interesting little edge case of things not going 100% right. Now, Tamaz did further comment, because there is an obvious thing here where you could say, yeah, but that's just player feedback. They just didn't like a bit of the game. He did say this on Twitter following up. For those thinking I only swear, someone left a positive review tonight with a lot of very specific feedback. A few hours later, public beta has been updated with fixes ready for testing. Gamers that specify their feedback are the best. And I can certainly say in our experience, a lot of the times where we would get a positive or a negative review, but there would really be just strong, actionable stuff. A player saying, this thing was the problem for me. Be it a bit of UI, something not being clear. And that is awesome. Every game dev, whether it's a positive or a negative review, every game dev at least should love that, because it is so useful. It's literally gold. So yeah, it's just an interesting little situation. I think it's kind of nobody's fault. I suppose the thing is, though, when you look at the game, right, and I mean, visually it's very stark. The TLDR, right, it's in the Falconeer universe, by the way, if you remember the game Falconeer. So you are kind of building up your settlement. And there are light strategy mechanics. You can be attacked by pirate raids and stuff. There are other settlements. I think for some people, they maybe look at that and think, okay, well, we're going to be having this sort of town versus town, sort of regional, smaller scale conflicts of maybe a manor lords mixed in with, base building and city building, and
it's not the most
maybe thinking that because it is that.
Just judging. It doesn't look like it uses a lot of fancy graphics.
But soft touch, with the focus mostly being on the building tech. Because when you look at the building tech and how the settlements actually come together, it's visually stunning. I mean, it is absolutely gorgeous, and it seems to be very inspired by, I think it's called, this game, Townscaper on Steam. And this game is overtly a toy. It never got into the same sort of problem with an audience because it was always so obviously a toy. The idea, though, is the dev behind it just made really cool tech that kind of procedurally generates stuff, and you basically just paint where you want things. It's really just pretty amazing. So what Tamaz has done is take this kind of thing and then make a light touch strategy game sort of creative sandbox experience. So look, I'd recommend checking it out if it is the sort of thing that's interesting to you. I'd certainly say, like, for my own personal tastes, I would far rather if this was more a strategy game. That being said, it is in early access, and I suppose as he continually hones and refines the game, maybe it would end up being like a little bit closer to the sort of thing that I would be super interested in. As it is right now, though, like, if it's on a sale or if I just like catch a fancy, it's totally something I could see myself buying and playing for a bit. But for it to be something I think I'd really play for a long, long time, yeah, I'm probably in the camp of wanting more strategy stuff. But then again, you know, I've always known what's up with this game, and it's not like I only found out about it because I saw it in a Steam tag that really wasn't an accurate representation of the game. So anyway, an interesting thing, there is a wider conversation to have about genres. It's hard to make things fit into genres sometimes. But anyway, I will leave you with that. I hope you found today's video to be interesting. I know some of this stuff won't feel like it could impact your life, but seriously, that stuff going on in Poland, if that goes down in Poland, and then other countries start to think about it, and that kind of starts to happen at the EU level, you could be looking at some pretty serious stuff going down. Anyway, we'll look out for that. I hope you've had a great day, and I will see you again tomorrow.
Possible lawsuits and fines and penalties. That's gross.
As a man, if you are the quote alpha, then what happens is a bunch of women.
That's a long video.
It's time for us to have a talk about Steam because quite a few stories are going on with it.
Yeah, I don't agree with this. By the way, oh gosh, that's so fucked up. I'm not gonna lie, that is actually genuinely fucked up. Payment processors intervening. It's like, oh, we don't like you. It's like, fuck off, dude. Fuck off. Fuck, you know what? Does the bank, you know, I'm just saying this right now. Does the bank care that, hey, you spent... Does the bank fucking care that you withdrawed $100 one night and you just spent it all in a strip club area? You spend it on food, you spend it on the fucking little bit of the showgirls, you know? Yeah. Does the bank care? Once you withdraw the money, does the bank give a rat's fucking ass? Here's a question. Does the bank give a rat's fucking ass when you take money out of an ATM? And what you spend it on? At that point, the bank doesn't know. All the bank knows is you withdrawed $100 from ATM machine. That's all the bank knows. You know, plus a free $5 fee, but that's fine. It's like, okay, I can just go, oh. Steam under attack. I just want to watch the original video.
So this is the payment processor thing. We'll take a look at this. I haven't talked.
Imagine a world where your credit card company decides what games you can buy on Steam. That unthinkable future just arrived.
That better not be a future that... I'm just gonna say this right now. That better not be a future.
Valve, known for its hands-off approach, has added a new rule that would change PC gaming forever. Not by law, but by the powers of payment.
Yeah, honestly, Steam doesn't care that they have adult games.
Processors like Visa and MasterCard. Starting today, Valve updated its What You Shouldn't Publish on Steam section to include content that may violate the rules set forth by Steam's payment processors and related card networks and banks or...
That's some very vague shit.
Internet network providers, in particular, certain kinds of adult-only content. This seemingly vague line has already been used as SteamDB has reported the removal of a bunch of games, mainly the ones with incest themes. While Valve hasn't explicitly named the names of the reason for this happening, unconfirmed reports and industry patterns strongly point to major players like PayPal, Visa, and MasterCard, the most popular payment methods on Steam. There were even unconfirmed rumors about PayPal's temporary unavailability on Steam pointing to this, but I couldn't find anything that confirmed this was directly tied to PayPal. One group, Collective Shout, a campaign for women, seems to be the ones mainly responsible, having released several articles and open letters to these payment processors making claims about the games on Steam just within the last few days. So as these companies took note of this letter and told Valve they were going to leave the platform, Valve was left with adding this rule and giving these payment companies a bunch of power over Steam. This new rule is important because it's not just a small tweak, it's a fundamental change to Steam, as now these payment processors or other companies like internet providers have direct influence on Steam and what games are allowed on the platform. For many, this is a big worry. If payment companies can decide what adult content is allowed, people are asking what stops them from deciding about other things next. This is where we get
That's not cool. What's the next level? What's gonna be the fucking next level? Denying. What? What are they gonna do? Deny you because you have views? What would be the next level? Not able to have access to a bank account because you have weird political takes.
Get into a slippery slope, where one small change could lead to much bigger, unwanted changes down the road. Now, it's important to understand that Valve was likely left with very few choices in this situation, as not listening to the payment process would have led to them removing their services from the platform, which is what many have reported happened already by PayPal shortly before this rule was added. Now, to truly understand how big this change is, we need to look at Steam's past. This isn't about the specific adult games taken down, it's about a complete reversal of Valve's long-standing, hands-off approach to moderation. Before, Steam allowed a lot of games on the platform, as long as it wasn't outright illegal. The main times Valve would take down a game were if it had some malware inside, broke one of the very few Valve rules, or a specific government requested to get it removed. Valve's position with moderation...
That one actually does make sense. Very, very much. I would have to agree to that. If you're putting out a game that has a malware on it, yeah, definitely take that shit off.
And the relaxed rules led to Steam having a large number of adult games and sometimes other controversial content. This position Valve had brought them a bunch of complaints. In 2018, Steam faced criticism for a hate group problem due to lax enforcement against hate speech. Now, this wasn't a game, but it shows how Valve generally handled moderating across the entire platform. In December 2022, US Senator Maggie Hassan even questioned Valve's efforts regarding Nazism, white supremacy, and misogyny on the platform. In late 2024, ADL made a report about how Steam had an extremism and anti-Semitism problem, which led to another US Senator Mark Warner asking Valve to do something or face further scrutiny by the US government. But Valve usually just ignored these complaints and requests for stronger moderation. As long as nothing was outright illegal or broke their existing rules, they generally wouldn't intervene with the...
I don't know, it sounds like some of the people are just complaining about some of these things. Oh, it's got neo-Nazis and stuff like that. Fascism. It's like dealing with coworkers. There's people at work I don't like to work with, but I still have to work with these motherfuckers. You know what? We don't, even my work. I don't quite see eye to eye to everybody's fucking views. I don't. You know, if you got a, I'm gonna say this right now. If you got a game that's not your cup of tea, don't bitch about it. If there's a game out there that's like, oh, this game opposes my political belief systems, that's a you problem. That's a fucking you problem. Oh, this game is, this opposes my political belief systems. So, then get a game. Then get yourself a game that's within the realm of your belief systems. Your set. There's plenty of games out there. It's not your cup of tea. And then it ain't what you want to play. No one's forcing you to play the game that you don't want to play. No one's out there. There's nobody on Steam trying to be like trying to push you. Trying to put Wolfenstein in your face. Isn't Wolfenstein like a Nazi propaganda? Some shit like that. I believe it's a very neo-Nazi propaganda shit going on there with that game. Very prominently so.
The content on their platform. So now payment processors are no longer just handling your.
But maybe we can have added layer to. I don't know, this idea of, oh, you gotta show no, this shit's counting it a little too far. The government, the EU government's kind of pushed a little too far too.
Transactions, they're becoming content gatekeepers with
not cool, and that's none of their fucking business. That is not. The banks don't get to say what you can and cannot buy. But there is some rules and regulation. But I also forget sometimes there are limitations.
With massive power over what can be.
Banks do exert some form of power.
Be bought and sold online. The thing is, this isn't just a Steam issue. This is happening all over, showing a clear pattern. We've seen major hits in Japan's anime and manga market. For example, platforms like Soruga and Manga Library Z were forced to remove adult content or even shut down because payment processors demanded it.
Fuck them. Really? Japan, the payment processors? That's just like, no. You're overreaching. At this point, you're just overreaching. These payment processors are just trying to overreach more control than they should actually be having.
Another Japanese platform, DL Site, even tried to fight back, temporarily blocking
adult content. Good.
Visa and MasterCard to keep its adult content available. Just this year, payment processors in Japan started holding back money from adult game creators on Steam. This was such a big deal that it led to an official investigation by the Japanese government into these payment companies and their practices. It's not just Japan either. OnlyFans in 2021 famously announced that they would ban all sexual content because of pressure from their payment processors.
Really?
Until they reversed the decision. Patreon too has faced similar issues in the past. So as we're seeing with Steam's new rule, this isn't just Valve's problem. It's a widespread issue showing how these powerful payment companies like Visa and MasterCard are deciding what gets sold and what does.
Yeah, they should really, honestly, I think these payment processors really should not be sticking their nose in the stuff.
Across the internet. The thing is, now we're seeing this first step. If payment processors can now influence certain kinds of adult-only content, the real question is, where does it stop? This is the big concern for many people. If these powerful companies can block one type of content today, what prevents them from moving on to other types tomorrow? Could it be games that talk about different political topics? What about games that tell stories some people might find controversial or challenging? Could they even push for changes on games that don't fit certain beliefs, even if they're
Well, they're just trying to shelter us?
Perfectly.
What are you, my mom? You're trying to play mom and dad, aren't you?
Legal. The door is now wide open. Before, Steam decided. But with Valve's new rule, these payment processing companies and others like internet providers now have a huge say for what's allowed on Steam. This means they could, in the future, decide what games you buy, not based on laws, but on their rules. This is a big deal.
This is, I think no.
Because it takes away control from Valve and gives it to these companies whose main job isn't about games or art, but about money and transactions. Now, I've already seen a few different suggestions from different Steam users, including exploring different payment options, like maybe crypto, or even the possibility of Valve developing its own payment system. Think of a Valve Pay to get around these restrictions entirely. Valve's new rule, which is directly influenced by powerful payment processors, card companies, banks, and internet providers, marks a big moment for the platform. What do you think Valve should do? Should payment processors have this much power?
No, they shouldn't. No, they should not have that kind of power. Yeah, I'm sorry right now. You give these motherfuckers, you give these processing companies an inch, they're gonna take a fucking mile.
President Trump just signed a new executive order, and it could be the biggest news for...
What did Trump do? What did Trump do? I'm not a fan of Trump, but I heard he did something good.
For gamers you haven't heard yet. Games are being censored, not by Steam though, but by the banks that handle the money. This new executive order is the first legal step in stopping this. Recently, if you haven't heard, some games were removed from the Steam store, but this wasn't because of a bug or a developer's choice. Instead,
and it wasn't Steam regulations.
It happened because a big payment company like MasterCard decided that a few games were a reputational risk. This is a vague rule that lets them pressure a company like Steam to remove any games they don't like. As a result, the banks that handle the money for Steam got involved.
I thought it was my money, not your money.
Creating a chain of pressure that led to the games actually being removed. This is a big deal because it shows that a third-party company that handles the money, not the government or Steam itself, is now deciding what we can.
I consent.
And can't buy. This kind of power is a form of digital censorship, and is especially concerning since a new rule was recently added to Steam's guidelines that gives them the power to remove content that may violate the rules and standards set.
Not by Steam's fucking standards, not by Steam's regulations, but by the processor.
By our payment processors. The thing is, the Steam situation is just...
God, this is so fucking retarded. I'm just saying right now, I'm just straight now. That is some retarded shit going on here. It's like these payment processors company decided, we're gonna be in control of what you can and cannot buy. Shut the fuck up.
Just one example of a much bigger problem. It's part of a growing trend of these payment companies censoring or even debanking anything they don't like. Debanking is when banks or payment companies close accounts or refuse to work with people and businesses for reasons that aren't actually about money.
It has nothing to do with money. Debanking has nothing to do with money. Okay, so what if somebody had like controversial views? Oh, I don't like those controversial. No. Anyway, oh, I need to check on you guys. Alright, cool. Alright.
The censorship we're seeing on platforms like Steam is very similar to how banks debank people. The payment processors are essentially saying, if you don't people, the payment processors are essentially businesses for reasons that aren't actually about money.
Here?
The censorship we're seeing on platforms like Steam is very similar.
JP Morgan and Bank of America debanked Trump under pressure from the Biden administration. January 6 sources. Debank Trump. He probably doesn't have a standard bank account. Honestly, that guy probably doesn't have a standard bank account. Honest to God.
Similar to how
he'd probably get fucking stacks and stacks of cash and some vaults and some shit.
Banks debank people. The payment processors are essentially saying, if you don't remove this content, we will stop doing business with you, which means you can't get paid. This is a direct financial threat. It's what...
And that's kind of like saying, oh, Pony's not alone. Alright, that's something. Fuck, you can look up. Oh, we could look up Rule 44 content. Nope, you could look up all sorts of porn content on the internet for free. But oh no. Oh no, you can't buy it. You can't buy a no. Buy that shit. I feel like this is like a dehumanizing evolution. People try to dude, fucking porn back in the early days. There was motherfuckers in the early days trying to dehumanize porn content back in the day. You know that? Shit, man. Must have had like a 1920s era fuckwit. It's probably being ran by some old fuckers. I feel like the people that are running the people that are running the top of the top, the Visa and MasterCard, are probably ran by some old fucking geezers who have some old ass values who don't even know what to. They probably have a fucking heart attack. You look up. Dude, I've been some of the motherfuckers you'd be like, contact, hey, yo, look up Rule 34 stuff. They probably have a fucking heart attack. They probably would. They probably be like, keel over. I probably have a fucking mannerism. An aneurysm.
HIO stated when they said they had to act urgently to protect the platform's core payment infrastructure. And also when Valve said if they didn't...
The way I feel about it, how about we just remove him? I feel like the simplest way to fix that would be like, okay, anything that's adult-related content, we'll just exclude you, Visa, MasterCard from our payment processor. Maybe that could be like a new fucking iteration of it. It's like, how about that? How about we just exclude you? And they're like, okay. You don't want that? Okay. Oh, you don't want to be included? Okay, we'll just take you. We'll just omit you. We'll just have you taken out of the payment processing for adult content then. Can they do that or not?
Remove the games, it would prevent customers from buying games and content across Steam. The White House announcement calls this politicized or unlawful debanking and highlights how some financial institutions have restricted access to services on the basis of political or religious beliefs or lawful business activities. So this isn't just about video games. Something similar has happened to cryptocurrency companies, legal gun stores, and even anime stores. The White House announcement points to other examples as well, such as when federal regulators suggested banks flag individuals who made transactions related to companies like Cabela's and Bass Pro Shop. These payment networks are essentially the roads of the digital economy. By controlling these roads, these companies can stop anyone they disagree with from doing business, even if they haven't broken any real laws. So to fight back against this, President Trump has signed a new executive order called Guaranteeing Fair Banking for All Americans. This is a direct response to what the president's office calls systemic abuses by financial institutions that undermine free expression and economic opportunity. This new rule tells federal groups that watch over banks to stop using vague reasons like reputational risk in their guidance and manuals. The order is specific, stating that regulators must remove the use of reputational risk or equivalent concepts that could result in politicized or unlawful debanking. From now on, banks must make their decisions based on clear financial reasons. The order also directs federal banking regulators to review banks for any past or current policies that encourage politicized or unlawful debanking and to take action, including charging a fine. The ultimate goal of this order, as stated by the White House, is to ensure that no American should be denied access to financial services because of their beliefs, affiliations, or political views. This is meant to prevent any financial unfair treatment and give fair access to banking for all legal businesses and people. So how does this new order connect directly to our problem on Steam? This is where the details of how payments work become really important. As Valve confirmed in their response, MasterCard didn't go directly to Valve and tell them to remove the games. MasterCard communicated with acquiring banks. These are the banks that handle the money for businesses like Steam. MasterCard cited one of its rules, Rule 5.12.7, which says that a business can't process transactions that may damage the goodwill of the corporation or reflect negatively on the marks. It's important to know that Visa has a very similar rule, just showing how this is a widespread issue across the payment industry. This is a perfect example of a vague reputational risk clause. MasterCard didn't have to prove the games were illegal, just that they were a risk to their brand. This was in response to a small number of complaints from the activist group Collective Shout. The acquiring banks, fearing that they would lose their partnership with a major payment network, then pressured Valve to remove the games. Valve complied, which is why they weren't fully debanked. So the executive order aims to stop this by forcing financial institutions to justify their decisions based on individual, objective, and risk-based analysis. The key difference is simple. Risk-based analysis is about measurable financial threats. Reputational risk is about feelings and public opinion. The new executive order is designed to stop financial companies from using the second one as an excuse to shut down legal businesses. This could protect game developers from being unfairly censored. So what can we expect now? While this executive order is a major step, it has its limitations. Some might argue that it doesn't mean much because it can't directly regulate companies like MasterCard or Visa. However, the executive order does create a powerful incentive for banks to stop caving to this type of pressure. If an acquiring bank knows that it could be fined by a federal regulator for acting on a reputational risk concern, it's far less likely to do so. This could make the vague rules of payment processors effectively powerless. According to Valve's newest statement, they were pressured by these banks, citing MasterCard's rule. So while Valve wasn't formally debanked, they were put in a position where they had to choose between censorship and a massive financial threat. This is the exact thing this executive order is trying to stop. Looking forward though, this executive order could pave the way for more changes. We could see new legislation like the Fair Access to Banking Act gain momentum in Congress. This act, which has seen bipartisan support, aims to prevent banks from using subjective, non-financial standards when deciding who to do business with. A new law would have way more power than an executive order. It could directly and legally stop payment networks from denying service based on a business's legal activities or political views. The details of the bill are designed to force this change. For example, it would prevent banks from making decisions based on unfair and random standards, a legal way of saying a decision made without a good, clear reason. The bill requires banks to have a written, documented report showing a risk-based analysis for all decisions. This means they would have to back up their choices with clear, factual information, not vague concerns about their brand. This would be a more permanent solution, like treating these payment companies as essential services. So if the pressure from payment processors start to disappear, the new rule on Steam would become unnecessary and could pave the way for a return to a more hands-off content policy on the platform. So although the fight to stop censoring games is not over yet, there are some signs it might not last forever.
Dystania. That's how I feel about it. Well, I'm just glad Trump's doing something saying no. I just like Trump. But I'm glad you kind of have to. I'm glad you. I despise a lot of what Trump has to say.
President Trump just signed a new.
I will admit to that. I'm not going to say, hey, I like Trump. Let's just say I have a love-hate relationship with this guy. fuck? I don't want. Nope.
Imagine a world where your credit card company.
So this is the payment processor thing.
Okay, okay, Aspen. Love you, man. That's interesting.
I was today years old when Pirate Software, a person who's been working as a game dev for Blizzard for 12 years allegedly, his father exposed him. I did not expect to ever say a phrase like this. I never thought one of the biggest Twitch streamers on the planet would be exposed by his own father, but this just happened. You think it never gets any worse, but it got worse. So his father exposed him. His old furry roleplay porn messages got leaked onto the internet, much to his dismay. And also, Code Jesus, who I've covered in the past, has popped out with another review. He found all of his off-stream code, and apparently it's even worse. Alright, you will own nothing and be happy, says Pirate Software. You have to realize, his entire downfall happened because he couldn't say, I'm sorry I fucked up. That's literally why his entire downfall happened.
Mm-hmm. He can't admit that, hey, you ain't always right.
But you don't understand how fucking insane.
And he doubles down, triples down, quadruples down on that shit. You can't tell him you're wrong.
It is, but that's literally what happened. If you need the TLDR, I've made videos on this guy in the past. However, if you want to actually know what's going on, essentially there was...
I don't know. Some people respect him. Where is Pirate Software at? Has he been on for a while? So he's just like kind of a degenerate in real life. That's the biggest problem. He wants to have this. He wants to put on this persona that he is a god or some shit. I think that's probably the biggest problem. Not a lot of people, I think, in general, have with Pirate Software. He wants to put on this, oh, I'm... Man, he just hasn't been on in a while. I hope he's doing alright, honestly. Yeah, I do wonder how he's doing. How is he actually holding up for real? Or is he just starting to decline further and further and further down? Looks like he hasn't been on for a while. Looks like he's just kind of just... I think he's gotten kind of pressurized with all the hate. I think he's been just getting a lot of fucking hate and backlash. I think that's what's going on with in his world. I do believe that's what's going on in the world of 4. He's been getting copious amounts of hate. 4. Hell, it doesn't look like 4 has been earned. And the last time 4 actually posted on his fucking posted announcement on Discord. Almost towards the end of the month. The 31st. He posted in July. When was the last time 4 said anything? What's he been up to lately? Is he just trying to salvage his reputation? I think that's where a lot of hatred comes from. I feel like the biggest thing that he will not admit.
This movement, the Stop Killing Games movement, where essentially we don't want giant corporations to be able to retroactively destroy products that we buy. Now, I think this is a perfectly reasonable thing to do.
Yes. I would have to agree.
I think this is a perfectly reasonable thing to do. Pirate Software does not. I mean, he's making games after all. Of course he wants to fucking own the games that he sells people. He wants you to own nothing and be happy, so he fights as on the side of the corporations.
Oh, he has that stance? He's taking the stance of the corpos?
You will not offend my $4 billion company. Leave my $1 trillion company alone, says Pirate Software. And because he fought against a movement that is purely fighting for consumer rights on behalf of the giant woke bullshit gaming companies, everyone started calling him an industry plant. People start digging into him, and it turns out, in my opinion, he is a complete and utter fraud. I'm not the only one that thinks, though. A lot of people think, though. Now, the good news is,
I think that's another reason that incident with the OnlyFans situation definitely really shined a light. It definitely shined a light. Big time. That all he had to do was to say, yep, I fucked up.
I said this 6 months ago. So it turns out I have literally been correct all along. Diabolical. Nux is always right award. I'll just give myself another pat on the back. My first video on this guy was 6 months ago, way before this shit happened. I said he was going to have a massive destruction. I didn't expect it to happen too soon. Listen, I know I'm always right. I just don't expect to be right this quickly, okay? So definitely subscribe, because I'm going to be right more times. It's just...
Was that...
Statistically, it happens a lot. All right, so anyway... Pirate Software, to keep you up, he lost 180,000 subscribers on YouTube. Like, listen, I'm not trying to say, pat myself on the back here or anything, but that's very bad. That is like really,
a big
really
time.
Not good. He also got half the views in the last month that he got in the previous month. So that's half the views and minus 180,000 subs. You look at, this is how much he loses every single day. Like, that's crazy. I don't even know what to say.
Bro's leaking like crazy.
Downfall. I never, wished him bad. I just never liked him. Okay, listen, I'm a simple man, okay? I'm not trying to destroy his career, ruin his life or anything. I'm just
but he did himself.
fully aware that ego will destroy you, and it has destroyed him. Now, I want this to be very obvious.
He did it
to
to himself.
Do not send any harassment to anyone. Obviously, we don't condone any of that. You see, on the Nuxanor channel, we have standards. We laugh at the retards. We don't harass the retards. We just laugh at them. So join me on this road, because you are not ready for what you're about to see. So first, someone made possibly the greatest compilation in the history of compilations. This is the Pirate Software Worked at Blizzard compilation, because remember how I told you he's an egotistical fuck and that'll be his downfall? It was his downfall.
I was watching a video that was critiquing you for mentioning you work at Blizzard so much. That was critiquing you for mentioning you work at Blizzard so much. Blizzard. That was critiquing you for Blizzard 7 years. Yeah. Blizzard. I used to work at Blizzard Entertainment. I used to work at Blizzard Entertainment. Your red team specialist for Blizzard Entertainment and Blizzard. Because having worked at Blizzard. I grew up at Blizzard. Blizzard. Industry for Blizzard. Yeah, no, I worked at Blizzard back when I used to work at Blizzard when I was at Blizzard. For those who don't understand, I used to work at Blizzard Entertainment. I know how to do that because I worked at Blizzard. Example of this when I was at Blizzard. How do you know so many things? I worked at Blizzard for 7 years. Blizzard. People. I do think that it's funny because you key on that. There's a lot of people that brought that up, and it's like I never said that I was.
No, never.
I think sometimes the things that I talk about in regards to those types of things is misconstrued as arrogance or boasting. When in reality, I'm just trying to give context.
He's actually more humble than anyone.
So that is the problem right there. So I want you to listen to this phrase. This gets...
Yeah, I'm amazing, but I don't say I'm amazing to flex on people. I just say I'm amazing because that's life.
It's misconstrued as arrogance, but in reality, it's this. Yeah. That is the most arrogant statement on the planet.
The psychiatrist killed him! Bro, listen, I know a lot of people think that when I say that I'm rich and fucking awesome, it's because I'm telling them I'm rich and fucking awesome. It's not arrogant, it's just true. Right, dude?
I actually am the first second-generation Blizzard employee. I was the first second-generation Blizzard employee ever. The first second-generation Blizzard employee. Second-generation. So I'm second-generation Blizzard. I'm the first second-generation Blizzard employee that ever existed in the company. I'm also a second-generation Blizzard employee. I was a second-generation Blizzard employee. I was the first second-generation Blizzard employee ever. I was the first second-generation Blizzard employee. And I love that shit. I love that company. Working for Blizzard sucked, and I work at Blizzard. I worked at Blizzard. There's me eating a sandwich. Yeah, that was actually a Blizzard.
It was a Blizzard sandwich!
I think it was my first, I think it was 2000.
It was my first ever Blizzard sandwich!
2009. It was me picking a safe. It was me cracking a safe at Blizzard.
Yeah, him cracking a safe at Blizzard. I'm sure he cracked the safe. Absolutely. He didn't have the code. He went in there with nothing but a diaper and a Q-tip. He drank a full cup of breast milk. And he went to work. That's what happened.
Your Blizzard stories are fake? Which Blizzard story do you think is fake? Would you like to talk to me or my dad that worked at Blizzard for 23 years that's currently in chat? Which one do you want?
So I'm really glad he mentioned his dad there. I'm really glad he mentioned his dad because epic foreshadowing, he becomes a very relevant character in this saga. Now, it's really wild. The Pirate Software dramatically altered the course of his life simply by...
He fucked up. Like Blizzard. When you got that many damn planets, I think you might want to get a planet.
Not pressing the mana gem. People don't realize something. People do. First of all, he was out of mana. What are you talking about? Second of all, there's something you clearly don't realize here. You don't realize he is an egotistical fuck. This was inevitable because it happens to every egotistical fuck. I'll be honest. Ego is deadly. It is incredibly deadly. And we are witnessing that firsthand. We really are. Ground yourself in reality. You are nothing without the grace of God. All right? Listen, you are just a man who should be grateful for the things that he has, instead of a man that thinks he deserves everything on the planet. Ultra ego, for real, for real. In the previous episode, we talked about how the Minecraft creator Notch even started calling out Pirate Software because it's actually retarded. So Notch says, hey, I just got to gaming after a brief break. Wait, why is there a Nepo baby doubling down over there? Minecraft creator Notch has made fun of Pirate Software. So Notch says, just verifying, yes, that is what I was talking about. He came back twice to verify that he is, in fact, making fun of this egotistical fuck. If buying a game is not a purchase, then pirating them is not theft. Nah, that's crazy. That's fucking crazy. Anyway, I covered this also in the past, but Pirate Software has since responded, so I think we had to come back here. So, learning that Pirate Software's mediocre, unfinished Undertale clone has always online DRM because the game's process is tied to Steam achievements really says a lot. He was always a red flag. Now, to give you context, Pirate Software was fighting against the ability to shut down live service games, all right, and actually give people a playable product. He wanted whoever made the game to hold all the rights to the games and retroactively take them from people. So, by attaching his single-player, essentially, game to the Steam store, it ultimately means that he, according to his movement, will always have the ability to shut this game off, even if you purchase it. You could spend $20 on this game, or $60 or $80, whatever it costs, and he could retroactively end it if he wants. Because technically, it's considered a live service game, because in order to get awards in the game, it goes through the Steam store, which is online. So Pirate Software says, hello, this is completely incorrect. Heartbound does not have an achievement-based save system, or always online DRM. The short you may have seen for it is this. You can see it in the background. Further, you can read about the check system for Heartbound here. It runs full.
Doing the pirate voice.
Nor will have an internet connection. It just connects and checks to see if you are playing through Steam. Your post is misinformation, now liked by 40,000 people who don't know what is actually going on. So, just wanted to clear things up. He did, in fact, respond to this. Except he lied!
All of them are very simple. The way that I did this is quite funny. I tried to find a way so that our game wouldn't get pirated, because it'd be easy to pirate it. We knew that.
That's why he's doing it.
You could break Steam DRM very quickly. Yeah. This is your save file. When you first start the game up, it actually checks what achievements you have, and it unlocks powers based on your achievements.
Oh, cool. All right, so it does check your achievements and unlocks your powers based on the achievements in your Steam.
It made it unpiratable.
So he's claiming that the reason why he attached the achievements to the Steam store was to just make it unpiratable. All right, so first of all, he's admitting that it is attaching the achievements to the Steam store. And second of all, unpiratable, you say?
Unpiratable. Piratable.
And then this fucking guy, I'm not going to show you how he does it, but he puts on he has a speedrun clock in the corner, and he just speedruns pirating the fucking game. I can't. How do you take this many L's, man? How does this even happen? How can you possibly take this many L's?
I don't know what the hell they were expecting, dude. That does not make any sense. And
yeah, he was out of mana, or in his defense, he was out of mana. What are you talking about? Now, I have to show you this clip. I think this is the most demonstrable clip I've ever seen in my entire time, in my entire life. He got exposed by his dad, has got to be the craziest shit in the universe. So first of all, his dad looks a lot like Boogie2988, probably a coincidence, and Bro destroyed him. I will forever think less of Thor because of his dad.
My birthday, and you missed it. You didn't call me. Neither did your brother. You guys both ignored me for my birthday.
Immediately, you are a shitty guy. How the fuck do you not text your dad on his birthday? Or at least the day after his birthday? Or say, I'm sorry, I forgot, right? That's what I would say. If my dad said this to me, I would feel terrible, and I would say, I'm so sorry, I forgot. Because I actually believe in a little thing called the fifth commandment. Honor thy parents. All right, literally, this is the building blocks of morality here. Okay, come on, dude. I mean, you'd think you talk about him enough, you'd at least text him happy birthday. So he probably apologizes and says, I'm so sorry, I forgot, happy birthday, right?
That isn't true.
He calls his dad a liar immediately. He immediately calls him a liar and says, you are wrong. I did, in fact, do that.
I said you text.
No, you did not.
Dad doubles down.
Bullshit.
That was last
He said what his dad said was bullshit.
year.
Bullshit.
Called it bullshit again.
I got nothing. You sent me one last year.
Did I send you one last year? Am I a shitty son?
Yep.
Man, it was last. Wow.
This is crazy. This is insane. So his dad says you didn't say happy birthday. He doubles down because he always doubles down. He endlessly doubles down. All right. So first, he doubles down. Second, he says he's a liar. Third, he calls it bullshit. And then he looks, and yeah, of course.
I want everybody.
Why are you laughing about that, bro? Holy shit! Who gives a fuck about a birthday? It's not the point. Obviously, his dad does. You are missing something.
Doesn't like liars.
Let me explain something to you. Okay, chat. This is just my opinion. I think birthdays are stupid. But if your dad thinks birthdays are not stupid, then wish him a happy birthday.
No, that Jason. Thor did not.
No, he called him by his real name. Oh, sorry, Thor. I know that's what they call you these days.
Not say anything to his father for his birthday a month ago.
If it makes you feel any better, I didn't text you anything after that last happy birthday, so it's still the same one.
Right. So he didn't text his dad in a year and a half. Cool.
It still counts.
Your logic sucks.
And because he's such an egotistical fuck, such an unbelievable douchebag, he refuses to take any blame. This sucks, bro. Does his dad suck too? Perhaps. But this is not an exposed video on his dad. This is like a gigantic pussy move, and it's like every single time it happens again and again and again, every single time. And it didn't apologize, double down, called the other guy a liar. This is literally his strategy every time. Every single time he does this same maneuver. Now, it's not like he doesn't talk about his dad. He does talk about his dad. He talks about his dad a lot. In fact, this is probably the first clip I've ever seen from Thor by complete accident.
He worked for Blizzard for 23 years.
It's crazy every time.
Worked there for 7.
I only worked there for 7. He's such a nepo baby. It's crazy.
It's actually him.
Imagine building your entire career off of your dad's coattails and then having zero respect for him whatsoever.
They put him in the episode, and they didn't tell him until the last minute, this is my dad. His name is Joey Ray. This lamp in the back was a lamp that we actually owned at the time. This was my dad's apartment.
They based the WoW guy from South Park off of his father.
They literally put him into the episode and then told him, and were worried that he'd be upset. And it's like he wasn't upset, and they just kept it. So at his house, he actually has the original script for that episode and everything up in a big frame that they gave him, and it was really, really cool. So yeah, he was a cinematic editor for Blizzard for 23 years.
He says it like 6 times.
That was my dad.
Yeah.
It's literally him.
Very cool.
And he does own this wrist brace, and they made him really gross, like extra bonus gross, which is quite funny. Now, the best part about this is no one knew he was real. And because nobody knew he was real, some dude cosplayed him.
Yeah. Anyway, this was kind of diabolical. So the dad lore is kind of insane. Now, a lot of people were making fun of him for his code. It turns out his code is kind of crazy. And I'm not even gonna lie to you. This is the worst shit I've ever seen. This is actual Yandere dev level bullshit. I don't even know what to say. It's actually insane. Now, the funniest part is, and this is kind of tragic, his furry text message logs got leaked. I'm not gonna go through all of them. They are very explicit. They are very explicit and very, let's just say, fucking horrible and painful to look at. Like, you don't understand, man. Like, yeah, it's fucking how it is. You replied to me with when you could. You think I'm a moron? Thor, that's not how it is. Like, dude, it's so cringe. It's unbelievable. They made an entire website, by the way. They made a whole website, piratesoftware.sucks. And like they have all of the conversations that he had and everything. And we are not going through them because honestly, Helen Keller was lucky that she would never witness this demonstrable monstrosity. Like, it is incredibly, wildly explicit, disgusting, furry porn shit. Like, I'm not saying this to humiliate him. I'm just talking about how he got obliterated, like to such an insane degree. Like, he got mega obliterated. It's like fucking vor porn, furries swallowing each other and burping down each other's throats. If you value your sanity, don't read it, okay? Do not read it. It's a nightmare. Now, anyway, I wanted to look at a video, but before that, I wanted to show you how dramatic his downfall actually is. So this is a channel, Slop News Network. This channel had 1,000 subscribers a week ago. Okay? Like a brand new channel, got like, you know, a couple hundred views on each video. Made 2 videos on Pirate Software, millions each. Okay? You do not understand. This is a cataclysmic downfall. And honestly, it's all because he's an egotistical fuck and everyone's kind of cheering him on to fail. Now, Coding Jesus, I covered him in the past. Pirate Software crashed out on his stream. Crashed out. Basically called him a complete fraud for reviewing his code. So this dude reviewed Pirate Software's off-stream code. Lock in, boys and girls. Pirate Software is not only a douchebag, but he might also be a fraud.
The idea is pretty clear here. Just how absolutely abysmal this is for performance.
What's up, guys? CJ here.
All right.
Now, in my last video on this topic...
So, to be clear, this dude is a victim of Pirate Software. After this guy reviewed Pirate Software's game code, all right, Pirate Software went live and basically shit-talked him for 10 minutes, where he was saying, he doesn't know anything. He uses other programs. He doesn't understand anything he's saying. He's such a fool. Everything I did was correct. And even the things that I did wrong were actually secretly correct. Because in my mistakes, I put little Easter eggs for people to figure out. It's just like, come on, dude. Just take the L, man. Take 1 L. Oh, my God. So anyway, so this dude got blasted in his comment section by brigaded by Pirate Software fans. So anyway, this is his follow-up, destroying his new code, apparently.
I mentioned that. So unless anything new comes out that I think I can bring my unique perspective to, I'm gonna put Pirate Software behind me and just keep moving forward. One of Thor's criticisms of that video, when he wasn't busy trying to smear me as a grifter...
It's just another, like, YouTube grifter trying to fight for relevance, dude.
Yeah, so again, the ad hominem attack every single time. Every single time. Oh, he's just a YouTube grifter. He doesn't actually know what he's talking about.
All that shit is.
Despite the fact that my channel has been consistent for the past 5 years, is that I wasn't specific enough.
You can review languages, many concepts are transferable. Concepts can be transferable, but specifics are not, and that's the problem.
Today's video sponsor is me. I built this platform called GetCracked.io, which focuses on covering everything that is not lead code related to the technical interview for languages like Python, Rust, C++. That involves concepts like language knowledge, networking, operating systems, concurrency, computer architecture, etc. As you can see, we have over 600 problems that will really...
Can I tell you a really hot take? Like, a really hot take? GetCracked.io. I thought it would be selling something completely different.
Test and sharpen your skill set.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, that's true. But did you know that Pirate Software worked at Blizzard?
Check it out. And so I figured maybe I can look for new information that I can bring my unique perspective to. Other creators, including myself, have covered the code snippets that he has shared publicly on stream.
All right.
And so I thought to myself, wouldn't it be nice if I can address Thor's critique by finding code that he's written off stream to really get into the details?
Yo!
So I decided to scour Pirate's website on the Wayback Machine and noticed that he actually included his source code resources.
Yo, there's no way! Oh my God! Did you know that Pirate Software is the first ever second generation employee at fucking Blizzard?
No.
Oh my God, he got the sauce. Pirate Software has always been super freaking secretive about his code because, in my opinion, because he's a fraud and he uses AI. So, all right, a little bit of interesting information about your boy Nuxenor over here. I spoke to a game developer. All right, about Pirate Software's code. I showed him the code, and the guy's like, "This is AI, right?" And I said, "No, this was made by a person." He's like, "No, it's not." I was like, "No, really. This was made by a streamer." And I showed him Pirate Software's channel with like millions of subscribers, and he's like, "You're trolling. This is done by AI." And I said, "No, this is." So
really?
Anyway, go watch my previous video for that fun shit.
As early as 2018. Just to be clear, these are the resources for his demo version of Heartbound. I was able to extract the code that he's written using data.win and the Undertale mod tool, and I'd like to focus on that for today's code review. Now, I know that a lot of people might be thinking, why are you doing a review on old code? Well, I decided...
I mean, this is the code for the demo of the game, right? He was a game dev at Blizzard for 17 years!
I decided to compare that 2018 version of the code that Thor himself distributed with the code available in the demo version of Heartbound. And at least at the places that I found major issues, there wasn't any difference.
Oh my god, I can't believe he got the old code to the original demo of the game that he scammed people. I mean, he worked on for so many years.
Now, I also want to stress that this video is going to be made in line with my own values as a developer.
Okay.
That being that we are reviewing mistakes so that others can learn from them.
All right, so I am making this video for the value of a retard detector. It is not for anyone to learn anything. We are just going to be making fun of retards today. The moral of this episode is check yourself. You're not perfect, all right? Nope. That's life. Acknowledge your mistakes, or you might end up ruining your entire career like Pirate Software.
And in doing so, I will be providing alternative solutions.
All right, I will be providing alternative solutions also in the retard department. Step 1, mend butt crack. Step 2, take a shit. Step 3, of course, I'll be linking this man in the description because honestly, if you want to learn anything about coding, I suggest coding Jesus. Obviously, my solution is a lot more grotesque.
That doesn't mean that my solutions are the best improvement that can be made or a silver bullet that can apply in every scenario.
That's true. So the first silver bullet is if you're a furry, get therapy. All right, that's the first silver bullet. All right, if you are a furry, consider getting a therapist. I'm not saying this is an insult. I'm saying this is life advice, all right? This is common sense, polite Nuxanor. Rude Nuxanor might say something else.
But it will give you a idea for a general direction that you might want to take your own project in case you encounter similar issues.
This guy's talking a big game for a guy that never worked at Blizzard for 7 years as the first second-generation Blizzard employee.
Throughout your development. Now, I'm going to be categorizing issues in this review based off their priority or severity, rather. So we're going to be starting with large or major issues.
All right, let's
then
go.
Going to medium or intermediate issues, and then ending off with small or minor issues.
All right, let's go.
So let's get into it.
I'm ready.
I want to start by observing his lighting engine by taking a look at the file draw light.
What is happening here?
Let's take a look at this draw light method and hone in on the first case statement.
All right.
Let's break down at a high level what's going on here. Thor loops over every pixel in a sprite, checking if each pixel touches or overlaps with a certain object. If it does, it then applies a light effect repeatedly, and with each repeat, it makes that light fade more diffuse. He then draws said colored pixels at that location to simulate the light fall off. Now, let's say your sprite is 128 by 128 pixels. That's 16,384 position checks he's doing per frame per light source. If he has multiple light sources or is trying to run at 60 FPS, you will feel the lag. Now, he actually checks collisions twice for each pixel, and he doesn't have any early exit should his second instance of that check not execute. If light diffuse is 5, it's possible that he does an additional 4 iterations that returns false every single time.
This sounds pretty unoptimized.
In the case that we have the exact same 128 by 128 pixel sprite, that is not just 16,384 checks. That's 98,304 checks at worst. What's worse is if you observe the second case, where light comes from the right instead of the left.
Oh my god, that was just for a single light dimming. He doesn't even use the same fucking code. Oh my lord, you've got to be fucking shitting me.
You'll notice that Thor copied and pasted the entire left code into the right code's case, only changing the signage of light distance.
Oh.
It's unfair. It seems like
it just killed her.
And said, "Hey, like you guys have your curriculum meets the minimum requirement to like be good." So it's a good thing. I know it's kind of outside of people's scope, but anyway, just wanted to share that with y'all. If y'all are interested in becoming a coach, by the way, like learning coaching, y'all can sign up. I think HGI will start having cohorts soon, so y'all can sign up over there if y'all want to like learn coaching.
Oh yeah.
So let's hop in with Thor Lord. Okay. Let me see where Pyrat. I call Pyrat. All right. Let's see. Click. Hi. Hello. Oh, weird. Hold on. I got to change this too. Let me turn.
Where did this go?
Okay.
Virtual camera.
Whoop. Virtual camera. Give me a second. There we go. Oh. Hold on.
Oh, for some reason, this is showing the big U, and I don't know why. Huh. Very nice. No, I think fix this.
I think I got mine. Did we do it? Okay.
Kind of.
Okay, sweet.
I'm trying to fix it on my end.
Okay, well, it's working for me, so that's all that matters in life.
Is that how it goes?
Yeah, that's usually how it goes. Isn't that what you've learned from being on the internet recently?
Yeah, definitely. That's how it works.
Is that if it works for someone, that's all that matters?
It's all that matters. Yep.
Yeah, so how you been, Thor?
It's been rough.
Yeah, I hear that. So I don't really follow much of, internet drama. So you want to talk about what's been going on, or you want to like not talk, which is like totally fine.
I don't even know where to start with it.
What's going on?
I think recently I've actually been dealing with the ferret rescue. So I guess we could start with that. 'Cause it's recent stuff. We had, and this kind of ties back into it too. So we had 2 deaths in the rescue this last week, which is rough, and like I'm finding, because we're at about 60 ferrets now. We hover around 60, and we lose about 1 to 2 a month because it's a rescue, and that's kind of how it works. You get animals in that are really messed up, really bad position, and that's just kind of how it goes. And I'm finding that I can't emotionally connect with every animal. You just can't do it.
No,
it's not
especially
humanly possible to do that because
definitely not when you got that many
you're
animals.
Gonna lose them, and you can't.
It's impossible.
Can't like absorb that at all times. It's not like a healthy thing to do. And I've been going through that through like the last couple of them, but the last
Honapona. I don't know.
I'm sorry. Please.
I don't know. I will destroy your negative thoughts in 19 minutes. That's some bold stuff. I don't know what I want to do right now. I don't know what the fuck is love. I like these words. Very simple phrases. But to really kind of dig down. What is it?
Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you.
Okay. Those are the phrases. But I just don't feel it. How do you feel right now? I don't know. That's something I might consider doing. Okay. Ah. Bro be dating his granddaughter, man. It's like having a grandkid. It's a 40-year, that's a 40-year age gap. Jesus Christ. Let's see what the fuck is going on in the internet world. My Instagram is so different when you look at it from this point of view. Oh, yeah. I just can't see the fucking... She probably got tased. Oh, God, that was some crazy shit. I'm not gonna lie, that was some... They had some fucking... Oh, I don't even know. What the fuck do I even... How the hell do I see... How the fuck do I see the comment? How the fuck do I see the comment? Where the fuck do I go? How do I get back to the comment? Okay. Messages. Pics. Oh, no, 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 no. And Bren. Yeah, damn. I probably should keep my mouth shut. The fuck was the video at? I'll just play. How people insecure? No, no, seriously. You think it's a joke now? $5,000 serious. Wow, you can get a home for $5,000 way back in the day. You can't even get one for that square footage. It's like $500,000. I was playing some stuff, but I don't know, man. I don't like doing this, man.